I'm Kwaheri and welcome to Tunapika. Continuing with our birthday month series, today I'm going to show you how to make the most decadent, rich chocolate cake. So think nice layers of chocolate cake with some decadent chocolate buttercream. Are you up for it? So let's get started. This recipe I'm going to share is absolutely easy to do, very simple. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to use a stand mixer to mix the cake, but if you have an electric hand mixer, that will work. If you don't have that, you can also use a wooden spoon. It will require more elbow grease, but I have done it before and it works. Let's get started. For the rich chocolate cake, these are the ingredients we're going to need: sugar, cocoa powder, and I've added some instant coffee, totally optional, baking soda, baking powder, salt, eggs, margarine or butter, and flour. So the first thing we're going to do is called blooming the cocoa powder. So what we do, here's our cocoa powder, put it in a bowl, and then add some boiling water. So this is half cup of cocoa, so I'm adding twice the amount of water, so 1 cup. So the reason we do this is the hot water, the boiling water, activates the cocoa flavor. Ooh, it smells so good. So once this is done, we are setting this aside and then we move on to the next step. The next step is the flour. Majority of my baking recipes, I prefer putting the measurements in grams because I love precision, and baking and precision almost are synonymous. But I want to show you how to measure flour when you're using a measuring cup. For starters, use a standard measuring cup, not just any cup. So this is calibrated 1 cup. So what you do, fluff your flour, then spoon it inside your cup, like so, like that. So once it's like that, use the handle of the spoon to flatten. So there goes your number 1 cup. We need 2 cups of flour for this recipe. Then in goes the second cup. Same thing, level. So spooned and leveled. I'm going to add the salt, baking soda, and baking powder to this mixture. Stir, and then I put it aside before I get on to the next step. And now we are ready to mix everything. Start by putting the sugar, then the margarine or the flour. I'm just putting them in greaseproof paper because I don't want to wash extremely oily dishes. So that's why I'm measuring them in measuring the butter or the margarine in this. We're going to cream this until pale. So let's say about 2 to 3 minutes. And now we go in with the eggs. The second egg plus vanilla. Then now we go in with 1/3 of the flour, and then our cocoa mixture, we're going to put half of it. So ideally I should stream it in, but I'm worried everything is going to be covered in cocoa, but let's see. So let me start slowly. Good. And then I stream it gently. I've managed, guys. So half of the cocoa mixture, another 1/3 of the flour, then the rest of the cocoa mixture, and we are done. We just want it incorporated. If you've watched my Black Forest recipe, I'm sure you can tell the difference between the chocolate sponge I made there and this chocolate cake I've made here, because this one had a lot more cocoa. Look at that color. Look, such a rich color. So as usual, make sure you give it a good stir, so that if you're using a mixer like I have, this stand mixer, then such a beautiful color. You can either use 3 7-inch round tins like I am, or 2 8-inch round tins, or 1 10-inch tin, though that will just be one layer. And yeah, so I'm going to prepare the tin. So there are many ways of doing this. You can grease the tin with some margarine or butter, then dust with flour, or alternatively, what I normally do is just put some parchment paper there inside, and that usually suffices. So I'm going to measure about 330 grams per tin. So make sure you level the cake batter like so. So the reason why I usually say the cake tin I use, it's because when it comes to cakes, size of the tin really does matter. It really matters in terms of how tall the cake will be, how quick the cake will bake, whether it will bake evenly. I have an in-depth video on this. I'm going to put it in a card so you'll see it up there on cake sizes when it comes to tins. So there goes the cake batter. Bake the cakes in a preheated oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. And the cakes are done. It took about 28 minutes. Look, when you press gently, it springs back. So we'll allow them to cool before frosting. As our chocolate cakes are cooling, we're going to make our chocolate buttercream. So this is icing sugar, cocoa powder, some salt. I'm going to mix everything. Here in my mixer, I have some butter, room temperature, unsalted butter. So what you normally do when you're using butter, either for baking, making frosting, just remove it from the fridge like an hour before you do the baking so that it softens and comes to room temperature. So I'll start by whipping this butter until it's lighter than it is. Though this butter, the one I bought, is much lighter than ordinary butter. Anyway, so let's get to whipping. We're going to add a little bit of the icing sugar. So this is gonna be a dusty affair. So cover, and then I'll start slow. A teaspoon of vanilla essence. I'm going to scrape the sides of the bowl, then continue. Depending on the consistency of your buttercream, you may not need to add any liquid, but I feel like I'm just going to add a tablespoon of milk. So you can do either milk or heavy cream just to make it a little bit lighter. That's what I've done. The chocolate cake is very delicate, so if the buttercream is too firm, it might tear the cake. So hence the precaution with the milk. So another tablespoon, and I'm being precise with the tablespoon so that I don't overdo it. And I think we're done. We have our chocolate buttercream. I'm gonna give it a taste. Wow, so chocolate. Oh goodness, it's buttery, chocolatey. Oh, delicious. There it is. Our cakes are done. Going to remove them from the tin. Use a spatula, spatula to release from the sides of the tin. On a cake board or plate, flip it over and release. And there's our cake. So you see it has a bit of a curvature. So I'll trim off a little bit before frosting. To trim the cake, I'm using a serrated knife. So I usually take a few steps back, look at the cake, then come and try and remove, yeah, like that. I feel that's good. So I do this for all the layers. So you can use a cake leveler. I even have one, but I don't use it a lot, but it's usually very handy. So the shavings can be snacked on, can be used to decorate cake. No cake goes to waste. So to decorate the cake, a little bit of the buttercream there to secure. Start with your first layer. I'm looking for the one that's thicker than the rest. Remove the parchment very gently. Put a generous dollop of the frosting. Then using your offset spatula, spread out the frosting all across the cake. And then here, if you want to become extra decadent, you can sprinkle over some chocolate chips. You can add a little chocolate ganache, but I'm fine with just this. Go in with the next layer. Another dollop. Again, giant dollop on top of the cake. Then we're going to spread it all around. So we start with the top, like so, spreading it to the edges. See? And then now you start dropping it to the sides. So the sides. I think I'll make this rustic. So first I clean the edges, scraping off the sides with a bent scraper. So this is the crumb coat. At this point, you can put it in the fridge to chill a bit before putting the other coat, but I won't do so. What I'll do is I'll take more chocolate buttercream, place it on the cake. I did say this is a rich chocolate cake, didn't I? So this is one of those special occasion cakes because everything in moderation. So trying to clean the cake board first before I attempt any form of beautification. So I'm going to show you. Place the spatula like this, then go around lifting the spatula until you get to the rim of the cake, like so. So we're going to do the same for the top of the cake, so like so. So yeah, since we're going all rich chocolate cakey, I've added a little chocolate shavings on top. And there you have it. Rich chocolate cake. So slices so well. Slices like a dream. So rich. So let's lift. Look at the cake, baby! Look at that cake! Oh my. If you're a chocolate lover, you have to try this recipe. Scratch that. Even if you're not a chocolate lover, you have to try this. so tender, so soft. The frosting is just right. Definitely a rich chocolate cake. So as you've seen, this is how you can make a rich chocolate cake and enjoy it at home. It's a once in a while treat, very decadent, very rich. I'll leave the link to the blog with the exact measurements for this recipe in the description. And thank you so much for watching. If you've gotten to this far and you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. It's free to do so. More cake recipes coming your way. And from me, Kwaheri. Wow, so good. Oh my word. Did I say wow? Wow. Wow.